The best part of this test win against Pakistan was how planned it was, or how outplayed Pakistan was. We can understand that cricket is big.
Yes.
We know that cricket is big in Bangladesh, but that, I think after a long time, everyone in the country felt something was beyond them. They all rush into the dressing room. They tell him, he tells his team, I'll give you this much money if you can beat our bowling.
Did you know, Saad, that Isam bhai once sat on the lap of Imran Khan?
I did not know that. That is an interesting one.
Not this.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
I think for the first time, the way they played Shaheen in this test match makes that if there was reason for Shaheen to play, it would have been they rattled Bangladesh. They haven't.
Here we go. Hanji, and welcome back. I've got Behram Qazi here with me as usual.
As always.
Aaj, we've got a very, very special guest all the way from Bangladesh. ESPNCricinfo's correspondent for Bangladesh cricket.
Yep.
Mohammad Isam. How are you, Isam bhai?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
You're most welcome. Really,
We're
I've
very
been
excited
looking forward
to
to
talk
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that we need to talk about Bangladesh cricket with you, Isam bhai, and I've been dying to get you on the podcast. Finally, that has happened today. It's been an absolute pleasure spending all this time with you over the past week or so. But first up, Bangladesh, for the very first time in their history, have defeated Pakistan in a test match across 13 tests in 23 years, which is massive. That too in Pakistan's own backyard. And given the context around the country right now, of course, there's been political unrest and a bit of a revolution. You speak of it like a second independence as well. And there have been floods, and Mushfiqur even dedicated his, match fee and everything to the flood victims. Talk to me about the gravity and the magnitude of this win for Bangladeshis and for yourself as well.
Yeah, from a cricketing point of view, I think it's on par with their victory against New Zealand, Mount Maunganui, New Year's Day 2022. That felt more like a miracle. This one, I think the best part of this test win against Pakistan was how planned it was, or how outplayed Pakistan was.
Yes.
In many ways, especially strategically.
All three departments, plus strategically.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it looked like Bangladesh bossed the first sort of, I think 2 hours that they played.
Yeah.
Then they had a pretty low day on the second day, and then you could see them building up with the batting. And they haven't batted this well for a long time. Especially this year hasn't been great. And actually, it's been almost 12 months since they have really put together a good batting show.
Yeah.
And fast bowling was also always doing well.
Yeah.
But this time also the spinners came into the picture.
Yeah.
Shakib hasn't, I even wrote about it, that Shakib hasn't bowled this well in in at least 6-7 years.
Especially when he was bowling in the third innings. The kind of grip he was getting off the pitch and outsmarting the batters was great to see from Shakib.
The guile and the wit.
Yeah.
But just to kind of reiterate that original question of what it means to Bangladesh and her people, and you of course are the only traveling journalist from Bangladesh. You were alone in the press box. You were dancing around everywhere. You got teary-eyed during the national anthem as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me about those emotions and what this means.
Madam, usually you'd see a lot of Bangladeshi journalists in tours. World Cup, we almost, I think we often, beat India in terms of the number of journalists that are present in press boxes. And we don't do well always. But this time it was quite unfortunate because many of the media houses and publications, they had a tough time gathering their finances because of how everything was closed. As you know that from early July to about the start of August, there was a revolution in Bangladesh, a student protest, which started quite innocuously. It was about government quotas, but then it started to snowball. And there was this odd bad comment from the former PM Sheikh Hasina. And then it turned into a one-point demand of the student wanting the government to step down. Finally happened on the 5th of August, I'm sorry. And we can understand that cricket is big.
Yes.
We know that cricket is big in Bangladesh. But that, I think after a long time, everyone in the country felt something was beyond them.
Yeah.
It was bigger than cricket, bigger than the
sport.
society. The whole country came together. It was a cause for celebration. And, Behram and Saad, wherever I have been to Pakistan, if I've met a former government official, if I've met a taxi driver or anyone in my hotel, like the guy who puts the tea in my room, or my breakfast, he's asked me, sir, you're from Bangladesh? Yeah, I'm from Bangladesh. And then that conversation starts. Whatever he knows from Facebook or any news that he's seen, he wants to know. One additional point, I was going to Lahore on the 26th for a short break because I wanted to see Lahore. Actually, I had other plans too. Like the test match was supposed to be in Karachi, right?
Yes.
So there was a guy sitting next to me in the bus. His name is Atik. He's a student, 17 years old. He said, tell me what happened in your country. I didn't want to give him too many ideas because, it's not easy for one person to, understand what happened and then maybe think about doing it. But in Bangladesh, the students, the ones who gave their lives, the ones who 600 plus are reported dead by UNICEF and UNHCR. But I know that for a fact that more than 11,000 are missing.
Wow.
The parents are looking for 11,000.
That is insane.
Number. And we have had cricketers joining. Nurul Hassan Sohan, he's a wicketkeeper.
Yes.
He ran. He used to run around with the students in one of the neighborhoods in Dhaka. The very well-known coach Nazmul Abedin, who's now become the BCB director, he was in protest. Like he didn't tell his family that he was doing it, but he would go out and do it because everyone felt that way. That we need to go out there, support the students, and actually support ourselves.
Yeah.
For the first time in 15 years or 20 years, we've really understood the value of a society that should be right, that should have rights, that should take the right course of action. And I think cricket comes in at a certain point, and thankfully they won. Because if they had lost, that would have been another problem. Okay, the country hasn't changed, or we still have to deal with them. But it's good. I mean. And you see guys like Mushfiq who are not Gen Z, who are slightly older. Yeah, so they have stepped up. Mushfiq stepped up. Shakib stepped up. And you have all these kids doing well, like new boys. So
Shadman.
Yeah.
Shadman Islam was great.
Yeah, exactly. And these are players who've been around for a while. There is the only newbie is Nahid Rana.
He was
Otherwise, this is a pretty settled looking side, but they haven't been doing well for a long time. So it was the right time, like literally the best time to win a test match.
The perfect moment to win a test match among the revolution.
It could not have been timed better, you can say. And obviously, mad respect for the students who stood up, and congratulations to you and all other Bangladeshi people who are watching this podcast as well. It's a big moment. You must celebrate it and celebrate the win as well, because this is only their 7th away win ever in 66 test matches, Isam bhai. And also 565 runs is the most they've ever scored versus Pakistan, and the 3rd most they've scored ever. So lots of records toppled in this game.
Yeah, Mushfiq Rahim's 5th test 100 abroad. He's taken Tamim's place now. Tamim was on 4. They were equal on 4. Mushfiq has also crossed Tamim with the highest runs away from home, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal for Bangladesh because they don't play a lot abroad and they don't do well abroad. So Mushfiq is one of those cream of the crop players in Bangladesh that has achieved a lot of things.
Is he the best test batter to come out of from?
Yeah, there will be a debate about Tamim and Mushfiq. I'm sure they would like to have that debate too. And they're very good friends and they have a healthy competition going. They do look out for each other's scores and who's crossed what score. So I think there will be a debate. But Mushfiq has... the other good thing about Mushfiq is that he's been fit for most of his career.
Yes.
And he doesn't miss a lot of matches. He doesn't take personal breaks as well. I think very rarely he takes 1 or 2 tests. I think he didn't play the Rawalpindi test match last time.
Oh, okay. I think
for personal reasons.
I think you're right.
So that was it. I mean, I don't really recall him taking off. Shakib has missed, I think, 24 of the last 42 test matches in the last So since September 2017, that's when he started to take breaks from test cricket. He hasn't played a lot of test cricket. So regularity, consistency, Mushfiq just takes everyone's place in that matrix.
Sure.
And it's quite iconic in the sense that both of those guys, Shakib and Mushfiqur Rahim, who've been mainstays in Bangladesh's team, they were part of Bangladesh's golden generation as well, and they were a part of this test victory. Tamim wasn't there, of course, but if you had to rate them as cricketers, Tamim, Shakib, Mushfiqur Rahim, give me the order.
Well, 3 of them are batters. They are all batters. Shakib obviously is the greatest cricketer ever born in Bangladesh. There is no doubt because of his bowling, batting, and
one of the greatest all-rounders
of all time. Yes, because of his. If you look at those combinations of 5-wicket haul and 50s, 10-wicket haul and 50s, 10-wicket haul and 100. So he's the 3rd cricketer. Only 3 cricketers have done it. Botham, Hadley, and him, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And those are like stacked in his career. At the start of his career, he used to play a lot of test cricket, bowl a lot, 50, 60 overs, scored that. He never had any rest. Tamim and Mushfiq will have a sort of Tamim has done. He has revolutionized Bangladesh's opening batting.
Yes.
It was absolutely horrible before him.
Also, start of his career, he was quite an attacking bat.
Yeah, that's the thing where he also molded himself into a solid batter because he realized that to survive at the highest level, you cannot just have one way of batting. Like you can't just go straight down the ground. So he worked on that. Mushfiq is another cricketer who had technical troubles right at the start of his career. He started off as a 16-year-old in Lords, 2005.
Whoa.
16-year-old. He looked like a 12-year-old. Trust me, he looked like a 12-year-old.
We all remember the 2007 ODI World Cup, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Tamim scored a 50, Mushfiq scored a 50.
Shakib also scored a 50.
Shakib also scored a 50. And now, after all of these years, 17 to be exact, they've won a massive game for Bangladesh. Saad was actually talking to me off the record, and we were discussing what is Bangladesh's biggest ever moment in cricket. Is it 2005 Cardiff when they defeated Australia, the Ashraful game? Is it the Mount Maunganui game, the test match that they won in New Zealand? Or is it this one? Or is it another one that you may think of?
There are few. The thing is, they don't really follow up well. Like they win a big game,
and
then they have complacency.
Yeah,
you know?
there's
So
no consistency basically.
exactly. So I think in that regard, the Champions Trophy semi-final they played 2017 when Shakib and Mahmudullah scored those hundreds and got through. World Cup 2015 was great.
World Cup 2015 was a great run.
Yeah.
Whoa, 19.
15.
15 as well?
15.
19 was also a great run.
19 was
Mahmudullah scored a lot.
Yes.
of runs
200s,
in that.
yeah. 19, the problem was they thought they had a good World Cup. The cricket board under Nazmul Hassan, Papon, we'll talk about
We'll definitely talk about him.
You have to come over.
yeah. He had to find a scapegoat because parts of the media were blaming him or telling him that this wasn't a good World Cup. I thought in that very competitive World Cup, winning those matches, 3 or 4 matches that they won, that was big. Beating South Africa, West Indies and Afghanistan. And if you see where Afghanistan finished in that World Cup, you know, Bangladesh stayed on top of a lot of teams. They nearly beat New Zealand. They just had a bad finish.
Yeah.
That's it. And so that's where the precipitation started of Bangladesh cricket. Mashrafe was off the boil, slightly injured. And then Tamim took over. Tamim took over quickly. Tamim took over just after COVID in the one-day team. And they are a very one-day oriented team. We love to play one-day cricket.
And you had a lot of success in one-day cricket in between. Remember when you were whitewashing every team that would visit?
Yeah.
Pakistan, India,
South Africa.
That was a really good period in between.
Even in 2022, Bangladesh beat India in a one-day series at home.
Yeah.
2 miracles from Mehdi Hassan Miraj. One was a one-wicket
I
win.
remember that,
And the other was 65 for 6 and they scored 270. And he
Yeah.
scored 100. So there have been moments. But for me, I think Mount Maunganui was special because it was New Zealand. And New Zealand had their full team. I would put that number 1. Rawalpindi would be a very close number 2, definitely. And one of my favorite ones is the original 4-0 that they had against New Zealand in 2010 when it was only Shakib. And at that time, Mushfiq wasn't a force to be reckoned with. Mashrafe was out, was a big player at that time. Tamim was out. And New Zealand had their full team. McCallum, Vettori, all those guys. Ross Taylor.
Kane.
Kane was just starting.
Kane
but yeah,
just started.
Still,
it was his first ODI 100 in that series.
Oh.
So that series, I still think that was the start of it all. That they knew that they could dominate a team. They beat them 4-0 in a 5-match series.
Absolutely. So lots of good nostalgia over there, and Bangladesh viewers would probably enjoy that.
Yeah.
You spoke about the board, right, and Nazmul Hassan Papon. But before we come to him, talk to me about the dynamics of the BCB and how the politicians have actively been involved, you know, with the cricket board, because we see that a lot in Bangladesh and other countries in the subcontinent as well.
Subcontinent is riddled with this.
In Pakistan, the patron-in-chief of the PCB is your acting prime minister or serving prime minister.
Yeah.
And then there are other countries like India where it's not as apparent, but we all know what happens.
Sri Lanka too.
Sri Lanka as well. Raja
So-
Paksha.
To answer your question, it's at the start of cricket in Bangladesh, they needed political or government help. Like they needed to tell the government that, okay, you are with us, but we need money for it. Because before test status, obviously, there was some sponsors, and Bangladesh cricket is supported by the Dhaka Premier League. There's a sort of like a pyramid where Dhaka Premier League is in the top. It's like the EPL system. There's a Dhaka Premier League, first division, second division, third division. This sustains all cricketers in Bangladesh. These are clubs run by businessmen, organizers. they actually fund the players. But the cricket board couldn't just be based on clubs. So they needed the government's help for stadiums. Like the first stadium that Bangladesh had, the Dhaka Stadium, which was later named the Bangabandhu Stadium. It was a multi-purpose stadium, cricket and football both. So it was like a bowl. Whenever it rained, the water would stay. But now, you have specialized stadiums. So back then, when the politicians started to get in, that
Sorry to cut you off. Which year was this?
which one?
Which year was this multi-purpose stadium?
Oh, it was since
In the
52.
All right.
But when did it
Pakistan-
end?
When it ended in 2005.
Oh, so Mirpur
Yeah.
is not that old then.
2007, I think, 6 or 7. 2004. What was? Yeah, 2005.
Mid 2000s.
May 31st, 2005. I was there at the ground.
Damn.
Yeah.
Didn't think we'd come to the exact date,
Yeah.
but
So what happened was with the cricket board, the structure was such that politicians had a very easy access at times, and also for many years till 2012, I think the board president was selected by the government, so they were handpicked. So it was only in 2012 or 13 when Nazmul Hassan actually started. He had to be elected because the ICC then stepped in and said that we can't really have an appointed board president. And he was unopposed when he started, and he was popular when he started. At least those who knew him, that he was the son of the president of the country, Zillur Rahman, and his mother was a very, very big politician in Bangladesh who died in 2004.
it's a very interesting story, isn't it? Because she died protecting Sheikh Hasina from a grenade. So she actually jumped on top of the grenade.
Yeah.
Isam bhai told us.
So it was a sort of like a protest, because they were the opposition party at that time, the Awami League, and they were on top of a truck. Like they were doing road shows and stuff. So it was in southern part of Dhaka, and some grenades were thrown at them, like live grenades, and one of them was near Sheikh Hasina, and she protected Sheikh Hasina by taking the grenade, and she died. And I remember it was one of the saddest days. We've had a lot of tragedies in Bangladesh, so that was one of them, that she died at that time. And at that time, Sheikh Hasina was a hero for many of us. And how that person turned into whatever she turned into 20 years later.
There's that line from Batman, right? What was it again?
I forgot.
If you stay alive long enough, you become a villain or something like that. I can't remember the exact words, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she was.
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself as villain.
Something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's the cricketing connection of it. Sheikh Hasina actually, she when she was the prime minister for the first time, Bangladesh got the test status, and it had the government's backing for everything, the infrastructural background or whatever, sponsors and all. She promoted cricket. She did promoted cricket. She gave cricketers a lot of things, land, whatever they wanted. Like whenever they did well, she would patronize them and give them stuff.
Whenever they complained, she'd get them back in the team.
Now the problem is, it came from that point of fandom, the prime minister being a fan. That was nice, right? Then came the interference. Then you could see that it was not just her; others could interfere. And then we had a board president who interfered in everything because he chose that style. That okay, I'll run the show.
If she can do it, then I can.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, that's how it. And to finish off that political journey, I tell Behram almost every day. There's a para I write in Cricinfo, and for reference that what is the political connection of the BCB? It's unbelievable. You had a sitting MP, a former MP, a former mayor, two cousins of the prime minister, or more than that, some siblings of a sitting MP, brother-in-law of a sitting MP, or a
Cronyism.
mayor. Absolutely.
यहाँ पे भी यही होता है Sam bhai. That's exactly what happens in Pakistan as well. Every time a new guy comes in, they'll bring their people and you start from scratch.
Yeah, Bilal Afzal is the prime example for that.
Yeah, Bilal Afzal, the data analyst for selection, has experience as a former caretaker minister in forestry and fisheries. So they'll tell us the data about trees and fish.
He's the data analyst of the Pakistan team.
Selection
committee.
Now
he's an advisor to the.
He has another role now. Yeah. The name has been changed, but this is very common in Pakistan as well. On Nazmul, Hassan, Papon. Now it's funny how if you ask me what the New Zealand Cricket Board's chairman or president's name is, I would not have a clue. You'd sometimes learn the Australia guy's name, but every time you speak of subcontinent boards, we know who's up top. Nazmul Hassan Papon was a bit of a celebrity. He enjoyed the limelight. And you obviously mentioned he was a son of,
the country's
very,
president.
very famous parents and renowned parents. But then as chairman, he was a very divisive figure. He would often pit players against each other, or sometimes the board would be fighting with players, right? It's a very common theme in Bangladesh cricket. Even if you go back to the ODI World Cup just right now, the whole Tamim and Shakib saga, it was really messy. So how would you rate his term as president of the BCB? What good things did he bring? What bad things did he bring? And 12 years. I mean, that was a long, long period to remain at the top.
Yeah, Bangladesh cricket went back by 12 years during this time.
That's a big statement.
See, whatever progress happened, it is despite the system. I think Indians would sometimes also tell you that their system isn't great, although they have the best system probably in Asia.
You're in a country where talent gets you trophies, but there is no system.
Yeah. So Bangladesh cricket team is despite, not because of the cricket board. Number one. Number two, he was not just a divisive figure. He created a group of board directors who would take all the decisions. 3 or 4 of them would sit together, and you could see them on TV all day. And I think the worst part of the whole Nazmul Hassan Papon show was this. He would do press conferences every week, one every week minimum, and not at the cricket board. He would do it at his house. He would do it at his office. Recently, one of our senior reporters, Mohiuddin bhai, he wrote a piece about the number of decisions that were taken at his garage or announced at his garage. His house garage or his office reception. I have done, I think, 50 press conferences in office. I love that because his office is 2 rows down my house. So I've always maintained that I actually support it because it's very easy. I don't have to travel 40 minutes. Now the thing is, you have a secrecy. A cricket board is a professional body. Sometimes documents have... See, in your office, I'm sure there are documents you don't even take home because it might be illegal to take home. The Bangladesh Cricket Board was run out of his office, practically, or his home. Big meetings at his home, big meetings at his office. I hardly saw him at the board, and which always created that doubt in everyone's mind that if I'm not siding with his company or his, by company I mean his group or even his the company that he was a CEO of, it was never going to be worthwhile. And they have done horrible things in domestic cricket. I don't know whether you guys noticed, but in 2017 there was a guy who conceded 92 runs in 1 over. Do you remember that?
I do not.
This could make for a great episode of Stupid Cricket. Jared, if you're listening.
It's not stupid. It's not stupid. It was cricket corruption at its worst. It was... So what? I'll just give me a minute to...
Sure.
Take your time. The floor is yours.
No. Look, it's basically, I told you, it's the Dhaka Premier League. It's a pyramid. So 24 teams in each league, and there's a promotion-demotion system. It's very competitive. It was.
I love that.
Sounds better than what we've got over here.
When my colleague Sid Monga went to Bangladesh to watch the Dhaka, he was there for doing a story for Cricket Monthly, and he watched one game. The first thing he said, this is IPL, this is the father of the tournament that gave birth to the IPL. Whatever the IPL you see now, we have seen it since our childhood. This crazy competitiveness. Wasim Akram played for Abahani. There are famous stories of that. Neil Fairbrother played for Abahani. You had Sri Lankan legends like Jayasuriya, Rana Tunga. All of these guys played for the other team, Mohammedan. So Mohammedan is from the commercial hub of Dhaka, the former commercial hub. Motijil still is, I think. People will kill me if I say former. People are territorial in Dhaka. So Motijil is like the stock exchange and all those places. Right. Mohammedan is from that era. I'm just giving you a scene of Dhaka. Abahani is from where I grew up, Dhanmondi. It's like the residential area, the biggest residential area in Dhaka. So Abahani is like the new Dhaka, that is like the old Dhaka. So they clashed. It was a clash of culture. We grew up watching Fridays, everything would be closed down. Shops would be closed because there would be big battles, like a real derby, like a Fenerbahce and Galatasaray or even a Madrid derby. It was like that.
Love that.
And I get goosebumps.
I've got goosebumps.
Thinking about
I've got goosebumps.
Yeah. What happened was, because of how the board was structured, it was so much money was put into cricket by these Dhaka clubs. Because Abahani or Mohammedan were the big clubs, people assume that their organizer should run Bangladesh cricket. That was a natural progression sort of thing. So that kept happening. Other clubs didn't get a lot of space here. Slowly, the constitution was drawn up in a way that the board membership would be, 64 districts in Bangladesh, 8 divisions. They will each get 1 vote.
Okay.
and they will vote for a director in their category. But Dhaka Premier League gets 120 votes of all the clubs, or maybe 80 votes. They would choose 12 directors. Rest of the country would choose 10 directors. That's where the twist is. So they have a natural, an organic or a natural majority in the cricket board. So if you're from a club, you're the top guy. Now, because of that, this board was shaped in a way that Dhaka, and in Bangladesh, to be honest, Dhaka is very important. It's like it's a country of 180 million people, but for opportunities, say let's stick to cricket. You cannot do it anywhere else. You may go to BKSP for your schooling. BKSP is the largest sports institute we have, but you have to play in the Dhaka League to be known. Bangladesh has had no cricketers ever who has not played the Dhaka Premier League and played for Bangladesh.
You've played in the Dhaka Premier League.
Yeah, one season.
We'll talk about that.
Isam bhai was a slow left armer.
You said it. I was going to ask you. Can you guess? It's the easiest one. What do I do?
The most common trait in Bangladesh cricket.
I'm a left arm spinner.
He told me before.
Left arm orthodox. He's gotten KP out in the nets. And he also got Mushfiqur Rahim out first ball, is it?
Match, yes.
Yeah. Dhaka Premier League match?
No. It was a corporate league match, but it was a competitive
Still,
game.
that guy just scored 191 versus Shaheen Naseem and all of Pakistan's bowlers. And Isam bhai got him out first ball.
We do need a spinner here. Isam
bhai, you mentioned the Dhaka Premier League and its rich heritage. And back in the day, how a lot of Pakistanis...
So did I answer your question?
Which one?
The original question that you asked
I think you probably did.
Yeah, so... What the point here is that politicization and all these things, they have kept it. Oh, I was going to explain to you what that 1/92 is.
Yes, there we are.
So the board started to manipulate the points table. So the points table system is, if you're in the top 8, you get a vote in the next election, the election that is coming up. So for the year of the election, they would manipulate that points table to the point that the umpires would be their henchmen. They would go, this is whether Mr. Papon takes responsibility or not, he was in power through this method.
This is so on brand with South Asia.
Yeah. So he would send the umpires to the dressing room. If it's not a club that they owned, tell them, finish the game by 12. So it kept happening for 2 seasons. 13 to 17, it was horrible. It came to a head when this kid, I know him personally, by the way.
All right.
He was frustrated. He's only 22 years old. He wants to make it somehow. This henchman of an umpire comes and says, finish the game by 12 or else you'll be in trouble. He talks like a goon.
Wow.
They said I think they were all out for 92 and all the LBWs were like dubious decisions. This kid goes and concedes those 92 runs in 4 balls. He gets banned for 10 years.
Whoa.
The day before, I think a day before, another kid gave 68. So they've heard about it in the sort of like a grapevine. Same ground it happened. And they got banned. The umpires got banned for 6 months because they were the board's...
They should be getting banned for 10 years.
Now, from what I know, they unblocked all these bans and they took out all the bans, but their careers are finished.
Yeah.
They were very good bowlers. Actually, one of the guys, Tasneem, I remember... He was very quick. I've played amateur cricket with him. Like I used to field in the slips or gully and he was really quick. Like after he got banned. So we have a amateur corporate cricket structure in Bangladesh, which is very healthy. So whoever doesn't want to play professional cricket because of all this shenanigans, they come to amateur cricket. There's good money for them there.
Nice.
So we are the amateurs. Like we don't get paid. We pay for it. Right. And we hire some, say 3-4 players like professionals, but they play in our tournament and they are... they enjoy it. Like they play 6-7 tournaments, bankers tournaments, and I play for a few teams. So that's another structure. That's another really interesting thing about Bangladesh that we used to complain that there is nothing below the league. But now there's another sort of like a 4-step league where people get ready for the league.
Sounds more structured than Pakistan, doesn't it?
Way more structured.
I mean, I'm sure there is manipulation and corruption and everything you spoke of. I'm not doubting any of it. But in terms of like a tiered structure, Pakistan doesn't have that, right? So, I mean, learn from Bangladesh, guys. Yeah. On the Dhaka Premier League, of course, you've played as well. And it, as you mentioned, has a very rich cricketing heritage. Talk to me about those times when Pakistan's top stars, Sri Lanka's top stars used to go and feature over there. What was it like as a kid following that and the impact it had on Bangladesh's youth and public overall?
Bangladesh was an associate nation from 79 or 77. From 79, they've been playing ICC Trophy. I don't know whether you know about that tournament. It was like the qualifying for the World Cup. It was difficult because Zimbabwe was the big team.
Big team, yeah.
So 79, 82, 86, 90, Zimbabwe crushed them. Then their big chance came in 94 when Zimbabwe were gone. Like they were the full member and ICC opened it for 3 spots.
Yeah.
Then UAE had that team of immigrants. All those...
Zawrani? What
that was
his
Zarwani.
name?
Was
Zarwani.
Zarwani was the only guy from UAE, basically. And he got hit on the head wearing the hat. Right? So they had a good team. Kenya had a great team. And
Kenya had a great
Bangladesh couldn't make it into the World Cup. I think it was Kenya, Netherlands and UAE.
Yeah,
who made
Netherlands
it
were
in the 96 World Cup. Then for the 99 World Cup, this was the last chance of that golden generation of Akram Khan, Amin Islam, Minhajul Abedin. So they had a great story. It was like India's 1983 World Cup sort of team, a mix of young and old.
And they beat Pakistan. That's another huge moment,
99
right?
World Cup.
99 World Cup.
So back in the day, these cricketers, the ones I just mentioned, they learned a lot from the likes of, a lot of Pakistani players. Like my cousin used to play Dhaka Premier League for a long time, 2 of my cousins. So they used to invite guys like Imran Farhat, Shahid Nazir. I've met them. Like when I was a kid, I used to meet them. Mansoor Ilahi. Yeah. I remember Ataur Rahman was
Yes.
He had 2 brothers. Ziaur Rahman. He was the first to score a double 100 in Dhaka League.
Oh.
Like in a one-day match, 201. I was at the ground. I saw it. And his elder brother Tariq Mahmood played for 15 years. Tariq Mahmood he played some first-class cricket. I've seen his Cricinfo profile. Mohammad Hussain was a big star. I think he's passed away.
Yes, I think he has.
Mohammad Hussain was a big star. We've had like Bangladesh's left-arm spin revolution happened because of 2 Pakistani cricketers.
Wow.
Mohammad Rafiq was bowling fast. He was a fast left-arm fast bowler. In the middle of the match, I think Wasim Haider told him, switch to spin. During a drinks break. He switched to spin, he became a spinner.
Wow.
The same story was with another one of our senior spinners as well. Another Pakistani, I forgot his name. He told him that, I think it was Enamul Haq, when he go and bowl spin, he became a spinner.
We met Arshad Khan and he said that in my earlier passports, it's just Bangladesh stamps.
First
because he used to go and play the Dhaka Premier League.
I've seen him play.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and not just them. We had Rohan Gavaskar and a host of Sri Lankan players. Ajay Jadeja played. The greatest story was Wasim Akram. You can understand 95, 96. What a superstar he must have been.
Yeah.
So we used to climb over the walls and just to check him out. Like, what a handsome guy, bowling left arm. So in one game, that turned out to be the title deciding game. Wasim Akram bowls a Yorker. Batsman gets bowled. Everyone rushes to him and he's shouting, ball pakar, because it was a no ball, it was going to 4. They lost that game. And Wasim got hit for a 6 last over. That was like we were like blown away. Wow, Wasim Akram getting hit for a 6. So Wasim Akram was the big guy, the biggest star who played. And Wasim Akram got a lot of other players to play in Dhaka Premier League. And he, whenever he does commentary in Bangladesh, I remember, he always relives those moments that it was so competitive. And he always mentions the fact that he hardly ever played this much competitive cricket anywhere else in the world other than international cricket.
Wow. Sounds interesting, right? When you have a tiered structure with promotion and relegation on the line. It's bound
it's
to be
one match each, by the way. So you get to play once each. So 12-team league, you get to play 11 matches. So you have to win 3 minimum.
That's the competitiveness right there.
Top 8 have that vote, right? So a lot is at stake over here.
I'll tell you another story. I wrote a piece on Cricket Monthly many years ago, Original Premier League. We call it the Original Premier League. Yeah. So the intro...
OPL.
OPL, almost, yeah. So the intro was, there's a company in Bangladesh, there's a conglomerate, Boshundhara. They owned, I think they don't anymore. They owned a club. So they were playing against Abhani. Abhani is like the Real Madrid of, the highest trophy winner in any sport for Bangladesh.
Real Madrid.
Yeah. So Abhani and they were playing. It was halftime, and I was at the stadium, which was at the Fatullah Stadium. This guy comes in a black helicopter, lands next door, comes in with a security guard like swarming him. They always do that. They're like the sons of really rich parents. They all rush into the dressing room. They tell him, he tells his team, I'll give you this much money if you can beat Abhani today. This is Dhaka Premier League.
Damn.
It's very godfather-y, sort of like...
You've had your run-ins with a lot of Pakistan cricketers. Well, not run-ins, but experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know, Saad, that Isam bhai once sat on the lap of Imran Khan?
I did not know that. That's an interesting one.
Not this.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
His father received a letter from Imran Khan that is framed in their house.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So both are like different stories. Firstly, he came to Bangladesh for a UNICEF polio drive. So we were like kids, and he was very close friends with one of my relatives. Like Imran Khan wrote about him in his book and stuff. Like one of his very close friends. So he came to his house, and obviously we rushed and we took a photo with, sat in his lap, two of our cousins. And the latter thing was basically my dad worked in Saudi Arabia. So one of his colleagues' wife, I think, had cancer. So in the 90s. So he wrote to Imran Khan for a seat, for a bed in Shaukat Khanum. And Imran Khan replied that is not open for the next 6 months or something. But my dad is such a fan that he kept the letter. So Imran Khan has a great following in Bangladesh. He's played there once or twice, I think. He once went with the Umar Qureshi 11 in 85. Those were the days, they would take a team to Pakistan. And Imran Khan had played there. I think he played another time in the 80s or something. I don't remember.
Who are your favorite Pakistan cricketers of all time? Name 3.
Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus, Mushtaq Ahmed.
Mushtaq, eh?
Yeah.
Interesting pick.
I grew up in that era. Saeed Anwar also was great. I actually, in 94, when they had come to Bangladesh to play 2 ODIs or 2 one-day matches, they're going to play New Zealand. Remember that New Zealand series when New Zealand kept losing to them small totals? 125, 87 all out. Waqar and his big...
of course, his hat-trick series.
Hat-trick series. So I was on the plane with them till Singapore, to the Singapore Changi airport. So I went to the first class and got all their autographs and photos, and like hundreds of photos. Cut to 2015, Waqar Yunus was the coach, and my colleague at that time, Umar Farooq, Cricinfo Pakistan correspondent, he said, I said, please, I need to take a photo with him. There's a reason. So I showed Waqar bhai that, look, we took a photo in 94. He said, let's take a photo now. So we took a photo. I'm like, Waqar bhai, can I have the photo back? He said, no, I'm taking it. I was so good looking at that time. It was a nice photo. Waqar and Mushtaq Ahmed were talking on they're like very having a nice conversation. And I was standing next to them. Amir Sohail actually offered me his Discman.
That's crazy.
All right.
Really, I sat next to him and he said, do you know what this is? I said, no, I've never seen it. I had never seen that thing. I have a photo with that. Discman at that time, Sony Discman, And I have a very interesting photo with Salim Malik. He was sleeping. And I was standing next to him and took a photo.
Better sleeping than fixing, I suppose. Anyway, let's move forward. I'm curious to know, Saad, who would you rank as your favorite Bangladesh cricketers of all time? Because for me, I loved Tamim. He's number 1 for me.
I'd rank Shakib number 1.
No, cricketer Shakib better hai. I'm not saying that he isn't. He is the better cricketer over here. But I personally loved Tamim, then Shakib, and I love the Fizz as well.
I loved Mashrafe Mortaza. What a leader.
He was probably the best captain Bangladesh have had.
Easily in every way. Like 50 ODI wins. Unluckily, he couldn't play Test cricket after a big injury. He's played 36 Test matches. The way he marshaled the team, I've seen it firsthand. The way he had his man management is unparalleled, and I think it will never come back. That vibe he created in that 2015 to 19 team, it was like a family. It had his problems, like Shakib was one type, Mahmudullah is one type, Tamim is one type, but Mashrafe kept them together for 4 years. For a team like Bangladesh, that was tough, and he had troubles. Like he had a guy called Sabbir Rahman who he had to bail out of a lot of off-field stuff. Rubel Hossain had that one problem before the 2015 World Cup. But he also vouched for the players. He would fight for the players at the cricket board in his own way. He would never be too loud about it, but he would get them what they wanted from the cricket board. We have had Tamim as a captain, but Tamim was backstabbed by the cricket board at one point. So
very recently again as well. I felt like he deserved to play the ODI World Cup.
Yeah, easily. And I thought that Mashrafe's period will never be repeated, but there is a lot to learn from that. Even I have learned leadership skill, not cricket, but leadership skill.
Management skills.
Right.
Man management skills.
Basically, how to talk to a person.
Also, he had to deal with Papon, right? And I mean, Papon had the tendency to give away team plans. He would be more of an analyst as opposed to an administrator at times. So dealing with him would also be a challenge, I assume.
For someone who's never listened to a 45-minute Papon bhai press conference, first 15 minutes.
Some by throwing shades.
First 15 minutes is analysis of the match.
Okay.
One question, how was the match? 15 minutes. Then came a follow-up question about one of the players who didn't do well. He would never talk about the players who've done well. And if he did, it was like a backhanded compliment.
He could be a Pakistan journalist, fits the bill.
Okay, no comments on that. So then it will be 15 minutes of that. And then the last 15 minutes would be super chaotic because say I have a phone like him, like this on his mouth. I would take it out because I think it's done. But then there is no end to a press conference of him. And by the time I got back home or wherever I started to write it, I heard the whole thing. There was maybe one quote that I could use.
Wow.
Like 45 minutes he would talk.
Wow.
It would happen. Like I think back in 2022 or at some point, me and another journalist, we had a running joke that let's count how many he does in a year. I think by the end of Jan, we stopped counting.
And if you count the minutes...
Oh, there was another place where he would do a press conference, Mosque.
Wow.
Friday prayers ke baad.
Wow.
I'm not joking.
What a celebrity.
We used to call it Friday. We used to call it Jumma beat. Like you had a cricket beat and this Jumma beat. Every Friday outside his mosque, there would be cameras. If there are cameras, he would be speaking.
Khutbah after the khutbah.
The post khutbah. Acha, to that point, Isam bhai, we have seen a lot of Bangladesh cricketers become serving MPs while they're still in the team. What's your take on that? Because from an outsider's perspective, that is really weird. And it also ends up, in this case in particular, Shakib is in a lot of hot water because of it. We'll come to him, but just talk to me about the, concept.
We have had sports persons in Bangladesh become MPs. We've had footballers, one former captain. In fact, Bangladesh's first test captain, Naimur Rahman, he was an MP, but it was way after his career finished. So he can't be an example of that. He's a politician and he's a good politician. He was a good politician. He was a good captain and all. Mashrafe was the one who first got into it. And I personally didn't think that it would work. And it blew up on his face. Just like Shakib's is blowing up on his face now.
Yeah.
The thing with being a politician is that just forget about politics being politics. Just think about it being another job. Mashrafe is a good politician. Mashrafe does a lot of good things for his people of Narail, where he's from. It's a small town. He, where before he became a politician, he would set up water tanks for rickshaw pullers, because we have cycle rickshaw in Bangladesh, which is very stressful for people. He would get students from Norail to get scholarships in Dhaka University, certain colleges and universities in Dhaka. He did all of that. He had his groundwork laid. In 2018, when the Awami League came calling, he agreed. Now, the problem at first was his fandom was cut into half. Because politics, a party can only have 50% following of the population, right?
Yeah.
People started to ask questions of him, and it was open. Like before that day, he became a politician, they would not even ask a question of him. His intentions were right. No, Mashrafe said it must be right. He is also well known for refusing the ICL contract in 2008. So he had that going for him. Like he's the guy. The moment he did that, everyone started to. It was open season. Anyone could take a target at him. Then the World Cup happened. He was injured. 300 runs average. He averaged 300. Just took one wicket in the World Cup. He was unlucky. The 6 catches were dropped on his ball. It was difficult for him to lead in that World Cup because being a captain, I think now Shan Masood not scoring, it's a question mark on the captain. So it was for the first time in his career, Mashrafe faced existential questions about his career, and then it didn't end well. And it was absolutely different for Shakib, but that hot water.
Yes.
That gap you have as a politician and a cricketer, you can never bridge that gap. And Mashrafe was an active politician.
Yeah.
Shakib wasn't an active politician.
Shakib's like a token MP at this point.
You can call him that, yeah.
But it's interesting how he's had a wild career arc, right? Shakib, of course, we all know of his antics, right? There's no way to sidestep that. He's breaking stumps, shouting at umpires, chucking the ball at the non-striker very recently. And, of course, there's that corruption case as well in which he did not, reveal the details or inform it to the ICC's anti-corruption code and everything, right? Or unit. So, talk to me about that ridiculously bizarre career that he's had. And also, he's currently in the middle of a criminal case. He has been accused of being an accomplice to murder along with 146 other people of a garment worker whose dad filed a police case or an FIR or something. So tell me, we all know that he's probably going to play tomorrow. Of course, this podcast might be released later, but it had been shot between test matches. So should he be playing? What's your take on that? And it's very on cue, again, with South Asia that something of this sort happens, but they find a way to play that person, even though the ICC says that someone who has a criminal case on them cannot feature in an international game.
Yeah, here I think I've spoken to someone in Dhaka about it recently, that it's actually he's a alleged, the word is alleged, he's an alleged person in this case.
He wasn't even in the country. He was in Canada forfeiting matches.
That's another story.
There's so many stories.
The story about Shakib, I'll tell you in a sort of like a nutshell. So we know all of his antics, this, that, his performance as well. I wrote about it a couple of days ago, I think, about his temperament. Just he knows the barrier between he has that white line fever. The moment he goes in. So on the day of the government falling, I don't think any Bangladeshi anywhere in the world was thinking about anything else. He got a man of the match award, the player of the match award in the G20. Same day. His country was burning. His party was gone. This guy goes out there, gets a man of the match award in that game, and then he does all those. I think he has a temper issue. It's quite evident. And also, the BCB has always treated him like a very like a big figure, but it never explained to him that he also has responsibilities, certain responsibilities.
He comes across as very entitled at times.
Yeah, like he asked a fan during the student protest that, what have you done for your country? It's a common cricketer's question, like how many tests have you played? Like it's a very common cricketer's question, but at that time, again, it looked like such a big disconnect from everyone else. And he's not a very old guy. Like he's not a 50-year-old guy who has seen a lot of wars and stuff. He hasn't. He's like us. He's seen the better part of Bangladesh. He grew up in the 90s, when the country was getting better, like everything was getting better. And post 2000, like he's like a millennial, I think. We are all millennials. Yeah. So he got the best of Bangladesh, and he's a great rags to riches story as well. Like he grew up in a very small town. They were from humble beginnings, and they grew up. Mashrafe was a different story. They came from a very prosperous family. Mustafiz, by the way, is also from a different background. But Shakib really worked hard to come to this stage, and the entitlement came in the late 2010s when the BCB were like least bothered about teaching him stuff, but more bothered about not pissing him off. And he got that. Like he got that idea. Others like Tamim or Mashrafe, they earned everything. Like Shakib, they also earned their place. But I think their behavior was a little different than Shakib in the sense that because they were
treated that specially.
No, not that specially. Yeah. Tamim, they would often say, we'll drop Tamim, we'll drop Mashrafe and stuff like that. But Shakib was untouchable.
Undroppable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? And now, of course, with this criminal charge, I don't think he can enter Bangladesh yet. And we all expect him to feature in the second test match in Rawalpindi. That much is set. I mean, rules are always bent to ensure that happens.
No, I think in this case, Behram, the cricket board has said that as that thing has been filed on the court or something. So there's still time. But yeah, it's going to be a little tricky for him to go back home. But I think, why can't he go back home? I think he should be able to go back home.
He should be able to go.
He's the question here, though, is Shakib's silence during the student protest. Now, you can say that he had a duty towards his party. But what is party without the people?
Absolutely.
Right? And these fans made him Shakib.
As a Bangladesh citizen, do you have that yearning to hear from Shakib about the protests?
I wrote that this is his time. He has to say something about it. He has to come out public, whether it's a Facebook post or he comes to a press conference. I don't care if he answers my question or not. He has to clear his position on not even a Facebook post, by the way. Not even acknowledging that it was wrong. I'm sure people have died in Magura, his hometown. It pains me to see someone that I have followed for so many years stoop to this level. Yeah, Mashrafe also didn't. Mashrafe suffered for that. His house was burned down. Shakib has a lot of fans even in the team. We have seen them. I don't know whether you followed this, but all the players have given their Facebook posts saying that it's a wrong case, it's a false case.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I did not know that actually.
Yeah, the captain, Mushfiqur, all of them did. That's great. That's nice of them. But Shakib, it's now Shakib's responsibility because how long are you going to play cricket? I think it's the end of his career.
Yeah.
It is. He's in the twilight.
Yeah, it's pretty much over.
And he's supposed to go play some county cricket now after the series. And he's a US citizen, so it's not like he has to go to Bangladesh, but he should be able to,
If you live in abroad, you're staying in America, you play abroad, how long can you do that? You can't do that forever. So you'll have to go to Bangladesh. You're going to have to answer that moral question. You have to say that I stand with the students or I didn't stand with the students. End of story.
Yeah.
but he has to say it. I mean,
Say something.
he has never taken a moral position in the last 10 years, I think. And that's a celebrity culture as well,
Yeah.
where you don't want to piss off anyone.
anyone, yeah.
So,
But you can't keep everyone happy.
but
That's what we've learned.
I
as well,
remember
man.
last year, I think when there was communal violence in parts of Bangladesh, Mashrafe came out. He came out swinging. He went there, I think, or he posted on Facebook. He was very strong about those things. But then this time it was very unfortunate that these two, and I understand one part that they did not endorse it. They did not say it's the right thing to do. But I think silence says a lot. Silence is louder than whatever they've said.
Often.
Yeah.
You know, silence can be louder than words.
Even one of the cricketers, his business partner died in the protest. Anamul Haq, who's the 18 captain. Yeah, his business partner.
So
they have a
Isam bhai-
sports shop just opposite the stadium. Everyone knows them. Everyone has, I think his name was Akram.
That's really unfortunate. But Isam bhai, like, do you think, from your own moral perspective, should Shakib be playing for Bangladesh right now? I know it's a tough question.
That's a very good question. No. I have thought about it. Like, I think about it a lot whenever I think that end of the day, Saad bhai, he represents Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Cricket is just a game, you know. It's a game, and I just feel that he can play. I think he has earned the right to play. He's been number one for a long time. Okay, he will play, but then he has to be a person of Bangladesh. Like, this Bangladesh post July and August is a change place, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah.
You know, everyone appreciates. Mashrafe actually gave an interview saying that it was his fault.
Okay.
Like, he was wrong.
That's a
Owning
sign of a big human being, you know?
Yeah. He said he was wrong, and like, he apologized for it, and he said, I have no excuse for it. I should have come forward, or I should have done something, or my silence was wrong. That's what he said.
That's great.
Yeah, and
Love that.
Shakib is playing for Bangladesh. Many people in Bangladesh don't think that he represents the real Bangladesh right now. So,
Anis bhai, who we met yesterday, was not too happy with him featuring for Bangladesh.
and there are lots of Bangladeshis who think that someone who couldn't support a human cause, like a real human cause, okay, whether he should play for Bangladesh, no matter how good he is, that's a great question, actually. And I also wonder whether he should. I mean, sometimes I have to step out from being a cricket mad person to a human being, and then I kind of think that, that's a good question, whether he should play tomorrow or not.
I think you answered it pretty well as well, because it is a bit of a dilemma. Let's come back to the board. New BCB president, Farooq Ahmed, first ever cricketer, by the way, to become a BCB president, has played 7 ODIs, and he's made a statement up front. He said that Bangladesh's head coach needs to be someone better than Chandika Hathurasinghe. And Chandika Hathurasinghe has just won Bangladesh their 7th ever test match away from home, and first ever versus Pakistan, that too in Pakistan. It's an unassailable series lead, and judging by the weather, this could turn out to be a series victory. That could probably be the biggest moment in Bangladesh cricket, winning a test series in Pakistan. Do you think that there's still some time over here for, you know, a conversation between Farooq Ahmed and Hathurasinghe, because they don't get along? That much is evident.
Yeah, they go back to 2016. Farooq Ahmed was one of Bangladesh's best. He was the best chief selector we've had. He actually gave breaks to Shakib, Tamim, Mushfiqur, Mohammad Riyad during that time, 2007. So he was a very good selector then. But because of a political shift at that time, he had to go. And then he came back in 2013 to 16. His stint ended because Hathurasinghe was the coach, and the manager and one of the directors, they were added to the selection panel. So the selection panel was an independent, and which is why he resigned. Farooq Ahmed is known as a very gutsy individual, and Hathurasinghe is also known as a very aggressive individual. So their clash, apparently there have been a few clashes back in the day. Now, Farooq was one of the few people in Bangladesh left who would question the BCB. Nowadays, because of these franchise leagues, former cricketers are hard to find who would criticize the cricket board, because they think that if I don't stick to the status quo. But Farooq was always like, he spoke his mind. Mashrafe was another. And there are 2 or 3 others. Farooq, even before, 3 days just before his appointment election as the board president, he gave an interview to one of our popular cricket channels, YouTube channels called Not Out No One.
Achha.
There he said all this. He said, he spoke his mind, and we have known his stance for many years. And to be honest, when Hatu came back in 2023 last year, there was a lot of questions about his return. I remember Mashrafe spoke about it, that it doesn't a test-playing nation should not bring back a coach who left them on the middle. Like Hathu left in 2017 in the middle of his contract.
He got the Sri Lanka job, right?
Yeah, he had that in his back, so he left, I think, at that time. And he was Sri Lanka's first series under Hathu was against Bangladesh.
Oh, the drama.
It was quite dramatic. You saw
Sri
moment,
Lanka,
right?
Bangladesh, that
वो तब नहीं थी. The Nagin Derby had not come into being
been
back
there.
in that day. Or
That
had
series.
it? That
That
series? No.
Love it.
Wow.
Yeah, but it wasn't due to Hathu. This happened because this guy Nazmul Islam Opu. He, by the way, Saad bhai, we have a nickname culture in Bangladesh, like Papon, Opu, even Shakib, I think, has a nickname.
Shanto. Everyone's Nazmul, Hassan, Hussain.
Yeah, something.
Similar names.
There is a nickname culture. So Darren Sammy, I think, called him Nagin or Cobra something because he used to celebrate like this or something. And that's the series when they did it, and that's when it spiraled into.
And then someone from the Sri Lankan team started charming the snake.
No, they did the same action.
Acha.
And it went crazy in the Nidhi
Of
House
course.
trophy.
And now it's
That
one of the
trophy.
weirdest, heated rivalries of
It
modern
is the
day.
most heated
But
rivalry.
I
It's
think
insane.
also this is the most organic cricket rivalry of all.
Yeah.
Because the countries have no beef.
Yeah.
We are friends actually.
Yeah.
Bangladesh and Sri Lanka
Yeah.
are political friends. When Sri Lanka was in trouble or whenever Bangladesh is in trouble, they help each other a lot. And we actually, like Bangladeshis, when it comes to the size of economy, we have like, just taking a detour of it, we actually look to Sri Lanka. Sri Lankans look to us like for economic,
Trade and stuff.
stuff like that. So that's a very good, I think that's cricket's best rivalry, that there's no
Organic.
ethnicity, religion is not involved, politics is not involved, just we hate each other.
Yeah,
in the cricket field.
And I love when Andrew Fidel Fernando makes content on it. It's so bizarre, so weird.
Love it.
Coming back to Farooq Ahmed versus Chandika Hathurasinghe. Of course, he's made history already. Even if Bangladesh lose this next test match, even though I think it'll be a draw with the weather around. He's already made history, right? And Farooq Ahmed, from what you're saying, seems like the right candidate to become BCB president as well. So, if you had to retain one, who would you retain? And is there a world in which both can coexist?
Retain both, retain one of them.
Yes.
No. It's they will have a meeting, I think, when they go back to Dhaka, and I don't think it's possible to find a coach these days.
Also, it only makes sense to stick with Hathurasinghe for the time being.
Look, he has a contract till end of February, which is Champions Trophy, whatever. And Bangladesh has a frequency of cricket that is unbelievable now. So they go back home after the series. I think 10 days later they're playing in India.
Yes.
Then when they come back from India, they play South Africa at home. I think that series is happening. Immediately afterwards, they go to New West Indies for a long tour. Then they go to they have the Champions Trophy.
Yes.
Or BPL and Champions Trophy, whatever. So, firstly, it's very hard to get a coach. I mean, if they have, by the way, they're having a meeting right now. They just ended.
No
they're
way.
supposed to have a meeting now. If they have found a coach, great. But from my experience covering cricket for the last few years, especially last few years, coaches don't want to work in international cricket. I think coaches, they prefer 2 or 3 gigs in franchise cricket. And then
Also, in South Asian countries, especially in the subcontinent, it's such a high pressure job. I mean, you've got to face the media and everything. And Hathurasinghe, he's made history right now, and he has to go and face all of this stuff. And I mean, I would love to see a world in which they can resolve their issues and both can retain their jobs. But do you think that's a possibility?
I don't think it's a possibility, and I don't think that the BCB. I've read reports and from very good reporters that apparently Hathu's position was questioned right after the 2023 World Cup. So the decision makers, they are the policy makers. I'm a journalist. I can only comment on it. I have a working relationship with Hathurasinghe. I've met Farooq Ahmed a few times. So I have nothing against any one of them. My job is to write. But those who decide, apparently they have always thought that Hathu wasn't a great fit when Papon brought him back.
Hear from a lot of people that he's a difficult character to work with, but he's got a solid resume. He was Sri Lanka coach when they won that test series in South Africa. So, I mean, his credentials
And apparently
are solid.
he was his job was on the line in that series, and he still lost his job four months later.
Wow.
Yeah, so maybe there are things that Hathu does which riles up people the wrong way, maybe. But there has been problems. There have been problems in the past. Also, the way he left last time maybe upset a few people. But I just feel that Bangladesh now is at a point where they do not need any more distractions.
Yes.
A coach change or a captain change. They've beaten Pakistan for the first time. Please hold on to this momentum.
It's a bit of a
very
rebirth, right, with respect to the country
Country
itself,
and the team.
and
Yes,
then
yes,
the
yes.
team as well. So it's a perfect time to kind of build on
Saad
this.
bhai, if something works, let it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
क्या
Do
कहते हैं
not-
वो? You got this?
Do not fix yourselves.
नहीं, do not
fix what's broken.
Do not fix something that isn't broken.
Yeah.
एक ही बात है ना. We're not on that level. today.
Yeah. Khair.
Do you want to come to the match?
Yeah, I want to talk strategy with Isam.
Yeah.
ठीक है कि Pakistan, prior to the first test, they put all of their eggs in the let's bowl Bangladesh out twice basket, and we're going to field 4 pacers for the second time in 28 years on a home or on home soil, right? And yeah, I feel like there was a solid plan A in their mind, and they wanted the surface or expected the surface to play a certain way. None of that happened. No contingency plan, and Bangladesh played a very attritional sort of template in that
Test
game.
cricket.
Test
Bat
cricket,
once,
Perfect.
bat big, even though they batted twice, but they kind of batted once, right? And they batted Pakistan out of the game, ran their bowlers into the ground. 167.3 overs.
Yeah, 700 something ball. Right?
1,005 deliveries by the entire bowling attack, 705 deliveries by the pace attack, the second most in the last 20 years for Pakistan seamers. So they aced their execution, and I don't know who read the pitch correctly or what, but Bangladesh definitely used those conditions to their advantage.
Behram, when you did the first press conference with Hatu, I think you asked him if this is a template to have 8 batsmen and 5 bowlers. Yeah, that template works for Bangladesh in this. It worked. And the second thing I thought Pakistan didn't expect the pitch to play a certain way. I thought Pakistan expected Bangladesh to just roll over.
Yeah.
I think they did. And
I think there was a feeling that this was an undercooked team with the protest back home. They couldn't turmoil and all that. I thought they weren't practiced enough.
Took
Trained
them too lightly.
took them for granted.
Yeah.
And I mean, Hathu told us that, right?
Yeah, in a
So-
way, he told us that Pakistan. Today when I asked him, he said, "I have nothing against Pakistan. I mean, they do
Obviously. Do you think that Pakistan will be rattled in this second test? Of course, they've announced a squad of 12. Abrar is that 12th candidate, and they're saying, or Dizzy, Jason
No,
Gillespie.
they can't be rattled. It's such a nice press box. We in the press conference we ask so simple questions. Why will they get rattled?
Yeah, but in general, the pressure from the public, everyone, is hating on the team
Is
right
there
now.
heat on them?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Heaps of heat, right? I mean,
really. Okay.
You could melt in the heat,
Yeah.
honestly. But from a strategy perspective, do you think they should play Abrar Ahmed? And what's your take on Shaheen Shah Afridi being rested? Saad and I are both in agreement that it's okay to give him some time to clear his head and focus on his new family. He's a new father.
Yes.
And it's a good time to just kind of relax and, work on a few things. Dizzy also
said that,
said that, we have given him some feedback and he's working on a few things with Azhar Mahmood. So should Abrar play? And what's your take on Shaheen?
Yeah, on a mental scale, I think Bangladesh always has this mental barrier with certain bowlers. I think for the first time, the way they played Shaheen in this test match,
27.5 wicketless overs for
so
Shaheen.
it makes that if there was reason for Shaheen to play, it would have been they rattled Bangladesh. They haven't.
It took him the third new ball to actually get a
And
wicket.
then Abrar is something that Bangladesh hasn't faced. So maybe.
So even if there isn't a lot of turn on offer, if they can't pick him, the nuance might be able to,
Yeah, I mean, it's always that. Look at Mehdi Hassan Miraj as well. He comes into the game late.
what a cricketer, by the way.
And he knows his role, that he has to bat big, bat deep. If he has to bat with the tail, he knows how to bat with the tail.
I think he's the unsung hero of this test match. We'll be talking about Mushfiqur Rahim, Liton's little flurry of boundaries versus Naseem, Mominul and Shadman's partnership. But I feel like Mehdi, with his 4 for 21 in the third innings and his 77 with the bat, in that 196-run partnership for the 7th wicket, which is the highest ever 7th run partnership or 7th wicket partnership for Bangladesh. I feel like people aren't talking about him enough.
Just imagine, he faced 178 balls, I think, with Mushfiq. Look at what Mushfiq could do at that time. He could relax. There's one guy at the other end, number 8 batsman. Hold the fort, 328 for 6, I think. From there to 532 or something, something like that. So that, Miraj is that guy. I mean, he has these niche skills, which every team, I think, needs.
100%.
I just feel that every team needs a Miraj.
He's the best number 8 bat in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe, that's a good shout.
Yeah.
And he has such a diverse skill set as well. He adds so much value to the team.
Yeah.
Remember that catch he took?
Yeah.
Was it at Gully?
Yeah.
That's what started everything,
No,
right?
that was Zakir Hassan.
Acha, that was Zakir Hassan. Acha, I thought that might have been Mehdi, but I'm a big fan. I think that in Test cricket, he's a real crucial cog in that team. And now Bangladesh will have Taskeen back as well.
Yeah.
Nahid Rana unfortunately misses out because the other two seamers were really good.
We're
Hassan
not
Mahmood and
apparently
Shoriful.
Hathu said that it's not certain that.
Ah,
I mean, from my sort of understanding, Shoriful bowled well, Hassan Mahmood bowled well.
I love the way they bowled with the new ball.
Yeah.
I think they bowled better with the new ball than
Yeah.
Pakistan seamers.
100%.
Surely. And Nahid Rana, I think he's like a shock treatment to the batters, which I think Taskeen can easily do with his own
Skills.
He can wobble the seam. He's good with the new ball. He's got all of those skills that a captain wants, and he can bowl. He can for a long time, and he's been given that break. He played that second 4-day game against Pakistan,
Which was a 2-day game.
2-day game.
yeah, but he bowled and he got a
Bowled,
wicket
yeah.
and stuff. He got few wickets, I think. So he's ready. So they would definitely be having him, but I'm really not sure whether there will be a test match in Rawalpindi.
Because of the weather, because it's
Yeah.
pelting down in Islamabad and Pindi.
When it rains, it pours in
Yeah.
this part of Pakistan.
And there's predictions for rain tomorrow and day after.
We've got plans now. We're predicting the rain at this point. Yeah. But just before we kind of close off, एक दो और बातें करनी है Sam bhai आपके साथ. Bangladesh don't need to win this test match. They're probably not thinking about the World Test Championship final. Do you think they're going to play for a draw?
No, I don't think they will play for a draw. No, look, they
Hot
don't
take.
usually play for draws. They will try to under Hathu or Shanto's style that I've seen. They do press hard. They do. I mean, they batted maybe slowly. I think Azhar Mahmood complained that Bangladesh is batting too slowly.
They were conservative, but that formula
That's
worked.
a test match, right?
Exactly.
You still had 1 day in hand.
They batted time.
Yeah.
They posted a
We were
lead. They put
debating that
Pakistan under pressure.
When Mushfiq got out, they could have declared, but Shoriful did hit a few sixes and fours.
So Isam bhai comes to me and he's like, they should declare. I'm like, Isam bhai, I understand the flex that comes with declaring versus Pakistan and Pakistan. But if they can just continue on over here, Pakistan seamers will get more tired. They bowled like 30 overs each or something
Especially
like that.
the way they built their innings.
Yes.
When you needed that,
Partnerships.
when you needed that
Partnerships,
flurry of runs,
वो
Litton
Liton
Dawson
ने जो
provided that.
Liton such an
That was-
attractive
yeah,
bat.
that was-
And when he took
I
the
love
seam
Liton.
on,
Yeah.
that was amazing.
And
We
then
were-
attritional
we went
cricket
when
as
he
well.
hit that first straight 6
Yeah.
4.
Oh.
We all went out in the balcony, and Pakistan's energy just
Naseem, you could see that he was a bit rattled. 3 fours and a 6 in that over. That
6, the ball lost, and they had to get the ball back.
someone ran away with the ball apparently. Some fan.
But that whole episode, that
Yeah.
over, you could see the Pakistan fielders looking elsewhere, like a little embarrassed, and that's when it started to go down.
That swing of momentum, I feel, really aided Bangladesh. Interesting also, completely off topic, but Mir Hamza has played under Jason Gillespie
Yeah.
at Sussex.
Oh,
And he might be bowling with a new ball tomorrow for Pakistan if there is any play. But khair, strategy वगैरह की तो सब बात कर ली है.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you, Isam bhai, about your experiences in Pakistan.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
first also want to know the perception of Pakistan and Bangladesh. You have been to Pakistan as an 8-year-old for a wedding in Karachi, but this was your first time as an adult. You were the only traveling journalist. Talk to me about your experiences and if there was any perception that existed prior and then it changed once you visited.
Yeah, easily the hospitality, like the random friendliness that I've got so far. That is built. I mean, I just can't call it a random friendliness or hospitality. Like wherever someone has figured out, not even seen my passport, or someone has asked me, "Are you from here?" I'm like, "No, I'm not from here." Free shawarma comes my way, or a little gift comes my way.
Yeah, Tabish Khan.
Tabish Khan
Saad,
and
do you know about that story?
Yeah, I read it on Twitter. Like, I'd like you to
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
us what
Yeah.
happened.
No, I mean, Tabish Khan is his story, but I think the fact that Tabish Khan, after all of that, he said, "This is for you."
Yeah, he gave him a small little gift, wooden truck, was
Truck,
it?
yes.
Yeah. But it was so funny. I had taken him to Saidpur village.
Yeah.
ठीक है, and we were having a meal. And Isam bhai, kind man that he is, had gifted me his book, which you guys should go buy on the Tigers Trail. Is it? Go buy that book. ठीक है, it's an anthology on Bangladesh cricket. So I have the book right beside me and the server comes and he says कि ये क्रिकेट की बुक है. We're like, yeah. कहता है मैं भी क्रिकेट खेलता हूँ, मुझे मिचेल स्टार्क बड़ा पसंद है.
वाह.
तो मैंने कहा तुम्हारी तो शक्ल भी मिलती है मिचेल स्टार्क
शक्ल
से.
मिलती है,
फेस
yeah.
कार्ड जाकर चेक
Yeah.
करो, फाइंड दैट ट्वीट बहुत मिलता है
Yeah.
मिचेल स्टार्क से. Then he shows us his action. Ditto. पूरा स्टार्क.
Ali, ये लगा देना इधर तस्वीरें और वीडियो.
It's such a crazy experience, like must have been for you as well. You hear about Pakistan being this fast bowler factory and then you get this story. Right?
Yeah, that is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
No, it was a great story. Sweet kid, 20-year-old, and the owner or someone of the restaurant came and said that he actually lets him practice for half the day, and then he comes in the evening and does this job.
Yeah, proper hustler.
Proper hustler. And going back to that fact that I've got a lot of friends in the media. Obviously, my colleague Daniel is one. Umar Farouk was my long time cricket
Osman Bhai.
Osman Bhai, who's my boss, who I report to. There is also Behram. I want to talk about Behram seriously because, I mean, maybe Islamabad is a bit structured, but to know real Islamabad culture, the subtext, like as a journalist or as a traveler, you want to know this country. You can't just sit in your hotel and go to the stadium. That's all we do. It's very difficult these days because I have toured during a time when there were practice matches, 5-day break. You know, you can go and do a safari in Zimbabwe or something.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but that is now all gone. Teams know 2-day break, 3-day break. The Bangladesh manager was asking me that Ravid Bhai is a very well-known guy in Bangladesh.
Sweet man.
Yeah, he asked me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Lahore. He's like, really? I said, yeah, I mean, we don't have much to do here, so I'll just go and work over there if I have to. And it was a lovely trip. I've always wanted to go to Lahore. I've done a few things there. I went to the Lahore Fort, Badshai Mosque, and even to the Wagah border to see that ceremony. With my colleagues. That was one part of it. But going to someone's home, being invited to someone's home, and just that whole vibe. Like I went to his house and his mom was like, "Oh, I have relatives from Chittagong." So exciting to know these things. Like, I mean, we've got such deep roots because of our past.
Even our cricket has deep roots, right? Pakistan is an essential, tongue twister, an essential nation with respect to Bangladesh securing test status as well.
Yeah, of course. The Asian bloc, they used to call it. But I mean, our history together didn't have a good ending in 1971, and it took us a long time to maybe come to grips with those facts. And I'm sure the fact that Pakistan also is now finally realizing, I'm hearing it in lots of different places, that now the discourse that is in this country, it is now, some people are asking whether what we did back then was right.
I mean, I know so many Pakistanis who are super apologetic about 71 and all the atrocities carried out.
With changes of generation, people are more
open to talk about stuff.
Yeah, and they read stuff, right? There are lots of books about it.
And in the age of social media, it's not so easy to fall prey to propaganda.
Of course.
You know, there's that as well.
So it's surprising. And no, my parents I was with them in Pakistan. They always told me that they're very friendly people and everything. You'll get a good response. Many years ago, I read a book by Rahul Bhattacharya about his seminal book, Pandits from Pakistan.
All right.
There he said that he came thinking that it'll be tough for him. By the time the tour had ended, Pakistanis were pretending to be Indians so that they can get free food in the restaurant, like the people with him. It was that 2004, the first tour. So that was the first time I read that Pakistanis go out of the way when they see someone from another country or from a different place visiting their country. And I've loved it. Like every step of the way, especially the way Behram has guided me through Islamabad and Rawalpindi. We've had some adventures, but it's been good. And there are other journalists as well, senior journalists like Rizwan Bhai, Shahid Hashmi Bhai. They have been like great support. There are now new kids, some new guys in the press box. I obviously hadn't met before, but the way they have treated me like a elder journalist or like an elder brother.
You got an award.
I got an award.
And a sash. It's
they
we need to post that picture someday.
They do it with every journalist who comes here, but because I was the only one. So there I told them that I wish my Bangladeshi colleagues were here. They would have had a great time. So, and they would have all enjoyed this victory because we don't get to see victories abroad. You know, it's one of the rare ones.
No, you should definitely celebrate it. And just on a closing note, something that I want to say is that sure, I mean, you know, we've probably spent a lot of time together, but for me, like the learning is invaluable. You are someone who's been in the job for about 20 years and you write for ESPNCricinfo. But it's been like, you know, despite all of that, you're a fantastic person as well. I love to just generally spend time with you, even when we're not talking cricket. But, you know, just to have this time with you, to be able to feed off of you and pick up things and ask you 10,000 questions, which I always do, it's been an amazing journey, an amazing learning experience for me. And I hope that, you know, we all can benefit from that as well. And we do want to change the landscape of sports coverage in Pakistan over here. We want to move away from sensationalism. And I feel like you coming here and being so candid and unfiltered, this podcast has a lot in it.
Yeah.
People in Bangladesh should be really excited about
Yeah.
it. I mean, thank you so much for your time
Thank you so
and
much.
for all the learning and friendship.
No, I really thanks a lot for inviting me.
All right, get a room, you two.
Hey!
If अगर आप लोगों को वीडियो पसंद आई हो, should I do this in English or Urdu?
यार दोनों में कर दो.
तो फिर मैं दोनों में नहीं कर सकता. अगर आप लोगों को वीडियो पसंद आई तो लाइक बटन पे क्लिक करें, सब्सक्राइब टू आवर चैनल. इसाम भाई बैराम मुझे हर जगह फॉलो कर दें.
जानी ऑफ द पॉडकास्ट बने.
जानी ऑफ द पॉडकास्ट बन सकते हैं आप थ्रू आवर पेट्रियन और इजी पैसा 031936025545 इज द नंबर फॉर दैट. उसके अलावा अगर आप लोगों को हमारी शक्लें पसंद नहीं आई तो आप लोग जाके हमें Spotify और Amazon म्यूजिक पे भी सुन सकते हैं. उसके अलावा चिल मारो. विल सी यू गाइस नेक्स्ट टाइम. अंटिल देन, अल्लाह हाफिज.